welcome to Lad Reviews. I'm Marcus J. Richardson, and today I'm bringing you a documentary review called Voyeur. Voyeur! It's about a writer called Talese and a very interesting chap called Gerald Foos, the Voyeur. Now this film starts with us hearing Gerald a few years ago saying,
"Nobody will be able to get away with what I did all those years ago now."
And to some extent, he is correct because, well, what he did was very, very weird. I won't go into too much detail about it, but if you don't know what a voyeur is, it's basically the nice way of saying a dirty perv. So this dirty perv slash voyeur, who incidentally is relatively quite normal. He's got away with years and years of watching all sorts of weird and wonderful things, and he basically manufactured a way of making that happen. Again, I'm not going to tell you too much. With a little bit of research you can probably find out. I was going to go into more detail, but I've decided to kind of refrain from that because I really respect what the filmmakers did with this. I imagine when this film was being made initially, there was a certain angle they were taking kind of about the voyeur. But as it transpired, you discover that the writer, Talese, who's a very famous writer in the United States, he actually is a voyeur himself, and also a little bit neurotic and weird and offensive to the filmmakers at times. And it's very interesting to see how the film develops because it starts off with us here, finding out all sorts about gay, and it's kind of like, why are you telling me this? I'm not interested. I want to know about Gerald Foos and his weird and wonderful world. But as it transpires, you find out lots more, and it does make you think, are we all voyeurs nowadays? With social media, there's a constant insight into what people are doing. We're constantly seeing what people are having for their dinner. Maybe not on a sexual level, but there is a lot of voyeurism in society nowadays, and anyone can be a stalker without actually having to follow someone down the street like they used to in the old days. A good old proper stalk. I'm your stalker. You fucking weirdo. One of the most interesting things about this was that Gerald Foos had two wives throughout all, not the same time, but he had a wife that ended and he got a new wife. But throughout all of his voyeurism, they both facilitated it. And you meet one of his wives and she's sweet and you feel kind of sorry for her because you know what? There's something really endearing about her. I mean, she's still rocking a 1980s perm, bless her. And Gerald loves a little bit of just for men and the old locks.
At least he's got hair.
What's that supposed to mean?
Well, you're clearly fighting the tide. I mean, look at your forehead.
What?
Well, it's a firehead, isn't it?
Piss off. Also, towards the end, what you discover is that Gerald doesn't have many friends left. After the book comes out, obviously he's judged heavily because of what he is, and the book says a lot of things that, again, I won't go into too much detail, but it's quite sad because the writer, Gay, is his only friend, really. And Gay uses this kind of vulnerability of Gerald to get a great story and to get the story he wants and to extrapolate as much information as he can. But actually, Gay doesn't think of him as a friend. And Gay actually really started to piss me off as the film wore on. Interestingly, one of the things he said is,
I need my second self to experience these things so that when the readers read my story, they don't think it's about a writer writing about something. It's a writer writing about what he's experienced.
That was actually not a bad impression of him.
You know what, about halfway through, I was like, this is quite good.
Let's stop this loving.
Yeah, I agree. Piss off. And the most bizarre thing that Gay did was many years ago, he wrote a book about a sex commune type place where there was free love and nudity, and there's an image of him in and amongst all of these naked people, and he's got his arm around this woman. He speaks about how he got involved with the free love and how amazing it was. And then you cut to his wife and kids. And what's bizarre is that she sort of accepted it. A moment where he's on like the equivalent of a Jonathan Ross type thing in America. His wife is in the audience and they go,
and here we have Mrs. Talese in the audience. Mrs. Talese, what do you think about it?
Well, he has to do what he has to do. I'm not going to stand in his way.
Honestly, your heart breaks. It's a different time. I mean, not completely a different time, but obviously we're finding out now all the shit that men were getting away with in the 70s and the 80s, but his poor wife, man. I haven't told you too much about the actual content itself of the documentary. I'm going to say go and watch this. I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. It was bordering on like a 2.5, and then as it gets going, it ramps up and you're like, oh, hello, shaky. So I would say go and give this a watch. If you're into your documentaries, if you've got a little bit of a seedy side, then you might love this. I've been Marcus J. Richardson. Until next time, peace on earth.